Is your small business growing? That's the question we discuss right here on the Grow Your Biz Show. This is a place where I interview strategic entrepreneurs who can help you to navigate your niches and perfect your pitches while you grow your business. Hi, I'm Paul Madsen, host of the program, and I am thrilled to bring you episode number 60. Number 60, Jim.
Wow.
And so it has a zero, and it must be important, right?
So I ranked number 60 on your list.
There you go. Yeah, you're number one, buddy. Don't worry.
We're all trying to crack the top 100.
Well, I'm sure you'll do it. As you might guess, I am thrilled and honored that we are here at the KFAB studios with none other than the Jim Rose, longtime sports personality. And we're going to talk about branding and how you can get the word out and how you can communicate better in your business, and because that's the bottom line, isn't it, Jim?
It's the lifeblood now, Paul. I think of our capitalist system. We've as a society we've grown further apart because the phone and the internet and the personality that you can develop on the internet has sort of isolated you from everybody else. So the really effective communicators and the ones that know how to promote effectively and reach their market niche, I think, are the ones that are going to see the most success.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, somebody I know says you got to come out from behind the glass, but there is a lot of glass these days of the phone, on the iPad, on the TV, the computer, and so I think the struggle for entrepreneurs often is to get that word out. And what business would you say you are in? How would you describe yourself as what benefits you provide out there?
Well, I think probably more than anything, I'm in sort of the marketing business, but mostly the branding business. And for a lot of my career, I was on the air, so what I was branding was myself.
Right. And you still are.
And I still am.
I love your podcast.
Thank you very much.
Where can people find the podcast?
At KFAB.com. Go to the On Air tab, click on the Jim Rose page, and you're all there.
I interrupted you, but go
ahead.
No.
So most of my career was about branding myself, and I was either on the air on broadcasts of games or covering elections or severe weather, and my whole objective along the line are interviewing business leaders, county fairs, whatever the case may be. You go up through the ranks, you see it all.
Get the middle school.
All the good stuff. Yeah, I have done county fairs. Yeah, now you've reminded me.
You start somewhere, right?
Yeah. Sometimes you do it in your 50s.
Well, yes.
But for me, it was all about that because I was building a broadcasting career, and I managed before I was 50 years old to pretty much reach all of my goals. And sometimes you sit back and think, okay, now what's next? And I sort of had a fear that if I didn't broaden my horizons a little bit and become somebody that could do more than just broadcast football and basketball and baseball games, that suddenly my skill set wouldn't be very marketable in an ever-changing economy.
That's a really good point because, everything does change. Nowadays, people can do a television broadcast remotely pretty easily anywhere. Use your phone. Most of my early episodes started with the phone. So Tom, Dick, and Harry and the female counterparts of those people can launch their own thing nowadays. So how do you stay competitive? How do you stay ahead of all that?
Well, I think first of all,
everybody's a TV station if they want to.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Now everybody is a network broadcaster. If you're on the web, you're a network broadcaster, and anybody in the world can see you or hear you, and that's a great thing for our industry. It used to be everything was very local. The television station was a local television station. The newspaper was very local. Certainly the radio stations were very local. And the core success of media operations, I believe, is still local. But because of the web and because of access folks have to now become a broadcaster to truly a broad-based audience, that's exciting for young broadcasters. It's exciting for me. But in my advancing years, I've always felt like the truly rewarding careers come when you serve your communities. And I can't serve the world. I don't think there are enough hours in the day. So I thought, about 10 years ago that I wanted to get into the business of developing businesses and helping businesses develop their brand in Nebraska. Wonderful. And that transcended into a career in philanthropy. And now I kind of go back and forth between the two.
Well, I guess, and that's great advice for entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs who are watching I just this week have met people and they have great ideas and they have great backgrounds and great skills and sometimes products as well. But it comes down to branding and getting the word out. And I like your angle. I know you're not doing the philanthropy selfishly only to get more business.
Right.
You're doing it as a bigger person, as a bigger picture. How might someone who's just started, they got a solo entrepreneur environment, how might they get involved with philanthropy? What have you done philanthropy-wise to go down that path?
Well, I was working for IMG, which is the largest sports marketing firm in the country, actually in the world, and I was working in college sports. And it's a wonderful industry. University of Nebraska Sports is a great product. So I had one outstanding product and a really great company. There it is, yeah. But I felt like, this is a business that's becoming data-driven. I think relationships in the sports marketing business, at least in Nebraska, we're growing smaller and smaller, and so it's such a vast arena in which to play that a lot of businesses say, I need specialists to help me with this that can drive data. And that's absolutely understandable. And I was comfortable in that space, but along came the opportunity to get into philanthropy. And so Coach Osborne and the director of athletic development at Nebraska, Paul Myers, recruited me to the university, and they introduced me to the opportunity to talk to people who have had great success and want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. Okay. So I had a chance for several years to learn how it is that true philanthropists think and act and behave, and how you can leverage your relationship skills, marketing skills, and branding skills with their dreams, hopes, and aspirations to make great things happen. And if you look around Omaha, all of the very best things in Omaha came from private support.
Sure.
Whether it's a hospital or a zoo or an arena or a ball field.
Look at the names on them, yeah.
Everything in our town, and I believe most things in our state, have happened because somebody privately said, this is important to me and I see what it can do for our community. So then I started to pick and choose, okay, what projects out there have great impact and which projects out there can truly grow our community and grow the opportunity to make it a better town. And so I'm involved in those things now. Okay.
Well, that's, and I think the nugget of gold in there is look at that big picture and how can you make the community better. You've rubbed shoulders with lots of mega successful people, I'm sure, and that's a great reminder that watch how these people give back. They're not about just getting more money. They're about serving the community themselves, and so through service to the community, that builds a brand.
It does. Now, I've, of course, been a little more fortunate than many, Paul, because of the broadcasting career that I had enjoyed and to some degree was successful in.
Come on.
People know who I am across the state, because I did the first statewide network commercial radio program in Nebraska broadcasting history, and I did it for 7 years. So everybody from Omaha all the way out to Ogallala. I wish it was hundreds.
Well, Nebraska's a small state,
hundreds of viewers and listeners. But across the state, from Omaha to Oshkosh or Ogallala, I was able to broadcast to them and talk to them every night, 5 nights a week for 7 years. And then, of course, the Husker broadcasts, it's a tremendous profile, and it got me the opportunity to meet a lot of Nebraskans, and a lot of Nebraskans get to know me. And KFAB is a heritage station. It's the station of record in Omaha, 50,000 watts. So people tune in for information. They want to know what's going on, and they listen to our spoken content. So they want to know what's a take on this issue. Jim Rose will have a take on this issue. I may agree or disagree. So that elevates your profile. Doesn't mean everybody's a big fan, but it also means that people will listen and they say, okay, that guy's talking about this. Maybe he knows what he's talking about on this one. Tomorrow he may not. So I've benefited from that. But I really believe if you want to be successful in philanthropy, or you want to be successful in building a brand, the first thing you have to identify is what it is about you that makes you specifically great. I think there's greatness in every one of us. Not every one of us can be LeBron James, but we can be in basketball, but we can be LeBron James in something. And the key is to find out what that something is.
I just heard a good one the other day. It said, now I think it was, they were quoting Richard Branson, and they said he said, and I hope I get this right, he said something like, the market always has room for someone who's best in the world.
Yes.
And again, you don't start as best in the world. You start by starting at interviewing 4-H girls at the county fair, right?
Yeah, and some of them were the best interviews I ever did.
I need to get out and talk to them.
But I think if you decide what it is that you are, what is important to you, what are your values and judgments, and what do you find about your daily walk in life that truly inspires you? What puts the bounce in your step? I had the conversation with my daughter, who's a student at the University of Mississippi. She wants to pursue a career in vocal music performance, and she wasn't sure if that was a good idea. She wasn't sure what she wanted to do. And I said, you need to decide what it is that gets you up in the morning.
Right, right.
You know, what is it that you look forward to most? If that's mowing lawns, then let's find a way to do that. If that's painting by number, let's find a way to earn a living to do that. Because you can earn a living in a lot of different ways.
A lot of different ways today.
But nobody ever wants to work for a living. They want to do a job that they enjoy, and then they get paid for it. I just believe that this community has inspired me so to, enjoy a career in philanthropy, because so many Omahans for so many years have been so generous for the community. They have done big, bold things that have made this community what it is today as a global leader. There are communities far larger than Omaha with far more people who have far less philanthropic activity.
Right. Well, I wanted to jump in earlier. You're talking about that, what motivates you, and let's go down the philanthropy idea next, a little bit more detail. But before that, it kind of starts with why, doesn't it? Your why. Can you find your why? I mean, what is your why? Why do you do the philanthropy thing?
Well, it started out, my why was to be in broadcasting, and I still am. 37 years later, I still haven't done my best broadcast, which probably doesn't speak very highly of me as a professional.
You're still practicing, huh?
Yeah, I'm still practicing.
You've got to practice like a doctor.
Yeah, one of these days, it's going to happen. I hope I'm there when it is.
Yeah, keep trying. Keep trying.
But to me, I think I have the ability to tell stories, and I think I have the ability to get people to think beyond maybe what it is that they thought they could. And by that I mean dream and imagine and visualize something great. Whether it's a museum, whether it's an expansion of the art gallery, of a world-class art gallery, whether it's involved in a sporting event that comes to Omaha and brings national and global prestige to Omaha, like the International does in the World Cup.
Sure, yeah.
Because you can then take that event and build from it wonderful community outreach, like opportunities for underserved school-age children to actually find a passion associated with animals or sports or competition. Or maybe it's the Nebraska Multi-Sports Complex in La Vista, which is a facility that we desperately need because it'll provide opportunities for everyone in our community, whether they're an elite athlete, whether they're just a participant, or maybe they're just somebody who wants to stay in shape. We need facilities like that.
Sure.
Or the Nebraska Greats Foundation, which I'm involved with, that provides medical assistance to athletes, female and male athletes from our state colleges, Nebraska, Creighton, Chadron State, Peru State. These people have meant a great deal to all of us because we adored them when they played and they brought us championships and great moments. Well, I know how much Nebraskans appreciate that, and so the Nebraska Greats Foundation raises funds so that we can assist those people now in their time of need. If they have medical expenses, we provide that assistance. So that taps into the true community spirit of Nebraskans, that taps into the gratefulness and the what I consider to be just a DNA strain of appreciation that Nebraskans have for the things in their life that brings them great joy.
Our
teams and our coaches and our players bring great joy to our communities. Maybe it's a high school team one year, maybe it's the Huskers or Creighton or UNO the next year, or Kearney or Wayne or any of them. They bring great joy to their communities, to their alumni, to their fans, to their supporters. So I know that matters to Nebraskans. And so maybe I can leverage my notoriety to help people understand that there are ways that you can help. And if it's a great idea, it's not a hard sell.
Well, that's a good fit. I mean, I really think that you're hand in gloving it there. Your overnight success after 37 years, right? And then you're using that leverage to help bring attention and service and growth to these organizations. What was the athletic one? What's it called again?
The Nebraska Greats Foundation.
Yeah.
Then you also have those are the three that I'm heavily involved with now. I'm involved with 3.5 projects now. The Nebraska Greats Foundation, the Omaha Equestrian Foundation, which puts on the international event every year, and then has also hosted the FEI World Cup Horsemanship Championships, which is a global event. It's the first World's Championship that Omaha has ever hosted.
Wow.
And the Nebraska Multi-Sports Complex. That's every April. The international event is every April, but then the FEI World Cup is every 5 years, and Omaha's gunning to get it again because it was such a great success here. We had riders and horses from all over the world here, and they just were blown away by how popular it was.
I have to go to that. I didn't get to that.
But you also have, the Olympic swim trials here, and these are just sports events. This doesn't even address the social and cultural events we have here.
Right.
But you have the College World Series, and you have the Olympic swim trials, and a lot of other great stuff. And then, of course, the Nebraska Multi-Sports Complex, which is a project that we have under construction in La Vista that is going to change the game for Omaha economically and socially and culturally.
Pretty cool, pretty cool. Give us a couple of the URLs of these organizations.
Nebraska Multisports, NebraskaMultisport.org, and then OmahaEquestrianFoundation.com and NebraskaGreatsFoundation.org. Those are the three that I'm heavily involved in. And the other one that has been a passion of mine for now about 10 years is the Nebraska Advanced Manufacturers Coalition. And this is an organization made up of manufacturing and related industry heads, chiefs, leaders in this industry. We are attempting to fill a skills gap in our state.
Oh, yeah,
we have a tremendous number of great high-paying jobs for young people.
Right.
But the young people either don't know about them, they have not had the chance to tap into what is obviously some internal talents, passions, and desires to, find the job that they love and then work at it their entire lives.
There's so much opportunity in the trades.
There really is.
People don't know about
especially,
it. I think our kids that go to school you will go to XYZ University.
Right.
And
we're starting to change that, Paul. I think there are some changes afloat in our country right now, and certainly Omaha and Nebraska would qualify. And that is, if a four-year college education is right for you, we've got great four-year schools.
Fantastic.
Maybe 2 years in a community college and 2 years in a four-year school is a great move for you. Maybe the opportunity to apprentice and get into an apprentice program where there is outstanding training for a specific skill and discipline, maybe that's for you. But I think we're beginning to see our school system shift away from what had been a traditional model, and this is where the Nebraska Advanced Manufacturers Coalition comes in. We are encouraging schools, families, and parents to dream it and then do it.
Yeah.
We're introducing,
motto?
We're introducing them to all manner of exciting career paths that many of them didn't know about because they didn't realize they had those skills.
Right.
But science, technology...
the opportunities were out there.
Yeah, I mean, science, technology, engineering, and math are sort of the buzzwords. They call it STEM. This is the global buzzword because China and Asia and other countries have a lot more of them than we do. But there are so many great careers associated with science, technology, engineering, and math. I mean, it's literally like the branches of an oak tree. STEM is the trunk of the tree, and all of these wonderful careers sprout out of that. And so part of what we do is come up with ideas and build initiatives and put on activities to introduce this to families who have school-aged children, to get them thinking about careers in places they never thought before.
So if you were an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur or at a career crossroads, check out that organization, the URL.
Yeah, that's dreamitdoit.com.
Maybe there's many self-employed plumbers, electricians.
They're very successful. Thank you for being there, because I can't do that stuff.
Right. Well, let's jump into a lot of our viewers like to hear the horror stories, so to speak. I mean, you didn't end up where you are now without some speed bumps along the way.
Sure.
I mean, I've been fired along the way myself too many times. And I mean, what bumps did you hit in the road in your career, and what did you learn from them?
Well, it's a performance business. We're talking about broadcasting now. I think certainly if I had known then what I know now, I would have done some things very differently. I learned a long time ago that in life there's no such thing as wins and losses. It's wins and learns. Sometimes the lessons are harder to learn than others, and sometimes you get multiple shots to learn a lesson. But it's a performance business. It's an ego-driven business. And the further up the ladder you go toward the top of the industry, which is calling the World Series and the Olympic Games and the Super Bowl, the competition is very intense.
Yeah.
There are a number of people around you all the time. Some of them are your fans. Some of them aren't. Some of them would like you to continue to do what you do. Others would like you to never do another game because it's just it's a performance craft. Broadcasting is a craft. It's not a job. And it's much like sculpting, it's much like artwork, it's much like virtually any craft, and that is you do it your way, and if the right person likes the way you do it, you stay.
So
If the wrong person comes along that doesn't like it the way you do it, then you have to find something else to do.
Gotcha.
But I've had
what did you learn from some of your major bumps?
The one thing I learned is you've got to be really careful when you are in high-profile positions. You got to think in terms of, okay, the words that you say, who will be affected by them the most, and how you position your positions. How will that be received and affected? There have been some things that I've said on the air that probably weren't received well. I felt strongly that they needed to be said, but they probably could have been phrased differently.
Well, yeah, look at that. You guys are. I mean, it's your life, and you have to fill a certain amount of time, and no one can be perfect for all of that. And you might just a pronunciation, something a word that has two meanings or something like that. I mean, how could you possibly be accurate and perfect all the time?
Well, I think you have to work at it. I think it's a goal. It can't be done universally 100% of the time. But I think sometimes we get a little lazy. We stop for just a moment, recognizing that words have meanings and they are received by a variety of folks. I think one of the mistakes that I made down through the years was I think I brought too much politics into sports broadcasting.
Interesting.
I would bring social issues into some of my sports broadcasts that may have been appreciated by some, but probably were seen as inappropriate by others.
Some want to watch sports to get away from politics.
Right. And I felt, because I think sports is part of life, but I think upon further review later in my life, I probably, if I could do it again, would say, let's keep that part separate. Let's recognize that folks come to the game to get away from some of that.
Right.
And they see you as a part of the game, not the other thing. And so when you are a part of the other thing, they look at that and go, there's something about this I don't like. I think you need to be
a lesson learned.
It is. Right. And I think over the years I've tried to modify that. You can't shoot from the hip all the time. And I think that's a good lesson.
Okay.
I think you want to pick your spots, and I know that's a cliche, but you want to be careful that, okay, if you're going to climb that hill, is that the hill you want to be on? Is that the hill you want to conquer? Is that the hill you want to die on?
That's a really good point.
Yeah. And I think so. That's probably, Paul, more than anything. You learn that as you evolve, and again, there's no such thing as a loss. I don't look at any of the great times and the difficult times for me as anything other than very helpful in my career development.
Your thing. There's winning and learning. I love it. I love it. I heard one the other day that said, you don't. I mean, just get out there and start something, because what you start now is going to look a lot different 5 years from now than what we can see 5-year chunks and such like that.
I think I'm a better broadcaster now than I was when I started. I think I'm a better broadcaster now than I was 5 years ago, because you collect things along the way and you sort of meld them into you, and it helps define what you do and what you say. Okay. I'm not very talented by comparison to some, but I've always wanted it a lot, and maybe that helps.
Well, that helps a lot too.
Yeah.
Well, we've got less than a minute to wrap up. What advice would you have in less than 1 minute, for branding, self-branding, for entrepreneurs getting started, for networking in philanthropic organizations? We'll put the icing on the cake for us, Jim, as we head out.
Know what you are, know what you want to do, and then take advantage of this incredible time in which we live, where your message can get out very, very quickly to a very large number of people. Pick your lane. What is it that you really can do to help folks, help businesses, help your community? Stay in that lane and become an expert in your lane.
Jim, thanks for having us.
Paul,
Great
thanks
to
for
have you
coming
on the
by.
show, and appreciate it. And,
Welcome to my sports museum.
yes,
I'm
I
glad
love
that
this.
you
We
all
can spend hours here. You
yeah.
bet.
Big boxes with lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff, lots of memorabilia. I'm sure your basement is full at home. Thanks for joining this episode, number 60, with Jim Rose on the Grow Your Biz Show. Please tune in next week for another episode, and go out there and make it happen for yourself. Thanks again, Jim.
You bet, Paul.